Hi, welcome back to another video. As we age, it is natural to question whether beginning a new fitness routine is worthwhile or even safe. If you are over 50 and asking yourself this question, the answer is the resounding no. It is not too late. In fact, starting a fitness journey now can be one of the most rewarding decisions you make, offering numerous benefits that enhance your physical health and overall quality of life. Well, we all know that exercise is important. As we get older, it becomes even more essential to maintaining a high quality of life. The trouble is, there is a lot of conflicting information about which exercises are helpful, which are a waste of time, and which can be downright harmful. In some cases, misinformation gets repeated so often, it becomes entrenched in our collective psyche. These fitness myths can be tough to dispel. So watch till the end of this video so you won't let the myths that I'm sharing with you in this video to prevent you from staying active and healthy. And I will share with you 7 top tips which will help you to build muscle when you're over 50. But before I dispel these common myths and share with you the top 7 tips to build muscles, could I ask you for a small favor by hitting the like button, as this would help me to reach a wider audience, and sharing your thoughts or feedback in the comments below. This would make an even bigger impact. So myth number 1, I'm simply too old to exercise or to start doing exercises. Actually, not moving is much riskier and can speed up the aging process. Inactive people are twice as likely to develop heart disease, and they also have more doctor visits and take more medications. Well, if you haven't exercised in a long time, begin slowly with a low-impact aerobic exercise that raises your heart rate, such as swimming. For overall heart health, the American Heart Association recommends 30 minutes of aerobic activity 5 days per week and 2 days per week of strength training. But even a 10-minute walk is a good start. Myth number 2, is it possible to gain muscle over 50? Now, one of the biggest myths among the over 50s community is that it is not possible to gain muscle mass or strength over a certain age. Well, you don't have to take my word for it. There are hundreds of scientific papers consistently showing that it is possible to build both muscle mass and strength just about any age. Well, one study showed that 13 weeks of resistance training in men over the age of 60 led to significant improvements in strength, muscle mass, and cross-sectional areas of type 2 muscle fibers, the type that atrophy most in age-related sarcopenia. The most interesting part about these results is that the control group was a group of 20 to 30 years old men doing the same workouts, and the researchers found that the results between the two groups were pretty much the same. So much for the myth that improvements aren't possible over 50. Now, myth number 3, exercise needs to be hard to be effective. For years, we have been told to push past the pain, to feel the burn, and that feeling sore today is better than feeling sorry tomorrow. But as we age, exercising at the proper intensity and frequency becomes even more important. Pushing yourself through a high-intensity interval workout is fantastic. These type of workouts are linked with significant improvement in aerobic fitness and glycemic control, and may even be more effective for fat loss than other type of workouts. But you should only do intense exercises like this 1 or 2 days per week, and taking at least 1 full day to recover. Now, pushing yourself as hard as you can for every workout can lead to overuse injuries, causing muscle damage, and it can keep you from reaching your fitness goals. That is because the physiological adaptation to training, like improvements to aerobic fitness, muscle growth, and even flexibility, don't happen during exercise. They actually happen during recovery. Myth number 4, I will hurt myself. Not if you know what you're doing and work within your limits. First, talk to your doctor before beginning an exercise program. They can tell you which activities to try and which ones to avoid. When you get started, work with a professional who can show you exactly what to do. That way, you can stay safe. Myth number 5, lifting weights is bad for my joints. Well, you don't need to stick to very light weight just because you're over 50. It is all about knowing your body and proper form. Lifting with good form and appropriate weight has been proven to be safe and effective for strength development for all ages. Furthermore, weightlifting is critical for long-term bone health, and general strength can be a good indicator of long-term independence. and there's little evidence that weightlifting leads to arthritis or other joint issues. Now, if you're over 50, there are 7 things you must know about building muscle so that you can make the progress you deserve and not waste any time. But I first need to tell you this brutal truth. If you're over the age of 50 and you want to build muscle, all the conditions have to be perfect because you start to run into something called anabolic resistance, which is literally your body's resistance to trying to build muscle. When you are in your teens and 20s, you can go to the gym and grow like a weed, even if your diet, your training, and your sleep is all over the place. That all changes for people over 50, and all these things have to be carefully calibrated if you want to make progress. And there are many things that add or subtract to your ability to gain muscles, and here are just some of them. The first thing is your diet, and you want to aim for a diet with high protein, plenty of carbohydrates, plenty of calories, and foods that you can easily digest if you want to gain muscle. The second thing is, of course, your training. Make sure that you're training hard, working your muscles frequently enough, and targeting your whole body. Prioritizing compound movements like squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, bench presses, and overhead military presses. And making sure that you're adding either weight or repetitions week on week, under the guidance of your PT to see progress. The next thing that has an influence is how much you rest. Getting at least 7 hours of high quality sleep, plus managing your overall stress makes a massive difference to your progress. All of these things have to be on point if you want to gain muscle. The good news is that it is definitely possible with hard work and proper guidance from your PT. So it is certainly possible to build muscle over the age of 50. It's just that you need to be more diligent and follow the plan perfectly. The next thing you need to be aware of when you attempt to build muscle over 50 is that strength and muscle mass are not the same thing. Now, building muscle mass takes a very long time. The average person over 50 might build half a pound of muscle in a month, maybe up to a pound if they are gifted in the genetics and everything is spot on. But that is still very slow. But the good news is that you can build strength pretty quickly. Now, even though strength and muscle mass are correlated, they're not the same thing. Now, it is possible to build something called a mind-muscle connection in the space of just a few weeks. And the mind-muscle connection is something that will make you stronger, but it won't necessarily bring about muscle hypertrophy and change your physique. Well, the mind-muscle connection is basically your ability to tap into the muscle you already have. So if you use those muscles more fully and better, you become stronger quite fast, but you won't necessarily see your muscle growth. This is why it is possible to get stronger quite quickly, but to gain muscle mass can take months or maybe even years. The next thing about building muscle over 50 is that after the first few months, you must be in a calorie surplus if you want to keep gaining muscle. When you first start working out, you can gain muscle with just about any diet. That is because the stimulus is so new to the body, it does not know what else to do other than laying down new muscle tissues. However, once your body starts to get used to that stimulus, you need to give it the energy it needs to build new tissues, and that energy comes in form of calories. If you want to gain muscle, you probably have to eat a few more calories every day than you used to in order to actually see changes to your body. But you don't need a huge surplus of calorie to gain muscle. About 100 to 250 calories on top of the amount that keeps you at the same weight is plenty for you to gain muscle without gaining unnecessary fat. Now, those extra calories should come from protein and carbohydrate sources mostly. And if you start to gain excessive body fat, then you know you have increased it too much. So just wind it back a little bit. The next important tip about building muscle over 50 is that your genetic will be the main thing that determines your results. Now, this is something that took me a long time to come to terms with. It is therefore no point looking around at the progress of others and comparing yourself to it. Just about everyone can gain some muscles, but the amount of muscle you gain would be determined largely by your genetics. That is why there's a huge differences from person to person, even when they're following the same program. The reason I tell you this is because I hope you will go into this process with an open mind. And remember, even a few pounds of muscles over a long period of time will make a massive difference to your health. And something is definitely better than nothing, even if you're not blessed by the genetic lottery. And the final thing about building muscle over 50 is that your number one goal should not be to gain muscle. This is because when you're over 50, your body is very different to when you were in your teens or 20s. And when you are very young, you can go to the gym and train like an idiot and still not get injured. Now, you're a bit older, all of that changes. So when you're over 50, your body is less forgiving. This means that there's only a very small margin of error in your training. If you want to avoid injury, that's mean for you, your number one goal should not be to gain muscle, but not to get injured. If you consider this, if you go into the gym and you train like crazy with no warm-ups and no regards for keeping yourself injury-free, you might make some good progress for a couple of weeks, but all it takes is one mistake and an injury could set you back for months or maybe even permanently. Contrast that with a person who takes the time to warm up, they keep a couple of reps in reserve and they work on their mobility and they avoid injury, and they can keep training for life. Staying in the game is more important than getting there fast. Think of it this way. Your number one goal should be not to get injured. Think of gaining muscle as your number two goal. And in that way, you will benefit from the most powerful force of all, which is consistency, because you will be the one who gets to train for years and years and avoid injury in the process. Anyway, that's all from me today. I hope you find the information useful. Do drop me your comments below and let me know what you think. Remember, fitness is timeless. At any age, it makes a huge difference in how you feel and move. Helps you whittle down those numbers like your weight, cholesterol or blood pressure that your doctors keep mentioning, and even brighten your moods. Well, until next week, take care. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like this video, please click the like button. Please leave your comments below and share this video. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my future weekly video release. Please also subscribe to this channel. This is free of charge but will help the channel to grow. If you're interested in improving your health and fitness or losing weight, if you suffer from or wish to prevent back pain, please take a look at my book, which is now available from Amazon worldwide. Thank you.